We have an additional deputant that's registered, Anita Krajnc. Do we have Anita online? Oh, in the room. Hello, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Anita Krajnc. I'm a Toronto resident, part of Bain Co-op in Toronto Danforth, Ward 14. I'm the Global Campaign Coordinator for Plant-Based Treaty. Our mission is to promote a shift to a just, plant-based food system that would enable us to live safely within our planetary boundaries and reforest the Earth. Our vision is twofold: a global plant-based treaty attached to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change to enable a plant-based food system, and secondly, the goal is for cities and institutions to implement best practices in plant-based food policies and rewilding. Toronto aims to show climate leadership by setting an ambitious net zero target by 2040 and for taking action on food emissions. We applaud you for taking a big step by being part of C40 Cities Good Food Declaration and for signing the Cool Food Pledge, thereby committing Toronto to reducing greenhouse gases from corporate food procurement by 25% by 2030. Thank you also for referring to the Plant-Based Treaty in your committee's report on action, in which you found that of the 40 items listed in the Plant-Based Treaty, 28 of the items are outside of the city's jurisdiction, but 12 of the remaining items are the city is addressing. Please let us know which of these 12 Plant-Based Treaty proposals fall within the city's jurisdiction and publish a report just like Edinburgh did when they endorsed the treaty. We encourage the City of Toronto to accelerate the Cool Food Pledge goal and reach it sooner than 2030, and also ask that the committee recommend that the City Council sign the Plant-Based Treaty. For example, New York City's goal is 33% reduction in food emissions by 2030, and it has already surpassed it. There's great urgency this decade. Key findings of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 6th Assessment Report include that it's code red for humanity. When the UK media covered this report, their news was in red, so they took it really seriously. That we are projected to hit 1.5 degrees by 2030. There's a high chance we could hit it sooner. That we are projected to hit 2 degrees Celsius by 2040. That there's a methane emergency and that the majority of methane emissions come from the food sector. That all 3 greenhouse gas emissions are accelerating. Johan Rockström, co-author of Breaking Boundaries and director of the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact and Research, states that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold is a physical limit, not a political target. There are 16 tipping points on the planet with different temperatures rising, significantly signifying different risks of points of no return. 5 of these tipping points are high risk within 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius warming. 5 tipping points, and we're heading towards 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius. These 5 tipping points that are high risk of being surpassed are Greenland ice sheet collapse, West Antarctica ice sheet collapse, tropical coral reef die-off, northern permafrost abrupt thaw, Labrador sea current collapse. Other tipping points are medium and low risk, even within 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. So as you can see, it's incredibly urgent. 30 cities have signed the Plant-Based Treaty, including Rainbow Lake, Alberta, Los Angeles, and 3 European capitals, Amsterdam, Belfast, and Edinburgh. What can you do? We asked the committee to consider recommending that the Toronto City Council and Mayor present a motion for the City of Toronto to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty. For example, Edinburgh endorsed the Plant-Based Treaty in 2023 and passed an action plan in January of this year. They partnered with Clamato to introduce carbon labeling in schools and universities. They also agreed to meet with Greener by Default. Edinburgh's action plan includes sections on awareness, raising, capacity building, food waste reduction, increased provision of plant-based food, and influence and leadership on spreading the Plant-Based Treaty to other cities. Amsterdam endorsed the treaty in January of this year, and it will enter a covenant with major employers, public institutions such as hospitals, community centers, care institutions in Amsterdam. All employees, visitors, and patients can obtain a full plant-based meal option in all publicly funded institutions. All restaurants and catering at public institutions commit to a vegan Friday. This is something you could do. Commit to vegan Fridays in all the institutions that you have jurisdiction over. All restaurants and catering commit by 2030 to an animal plant-based ratio set in Amsterdam. And They also commit to organizing an annual plant-based conference with care institutions, schools, universities, and institutions in Amsterdam. Thank you.
Thank you for your deputation.